Hello, and welcome to another session of Guys Let's Talk. And today we will be discussing on protecting your wife as a man. Protecting your wife as a man. God has laid that responsibility on us as men to protect our wives. And this is why it will be very clear that God did not ask a woman to leave her parents. Why? Because it was more of like a transfer of responsibility from one father to in quote another father, which is now her husband. So it would be very wrong if as a man you don't stand up and protect your wife. Why? Because it's a major responsibility given to you by God. Now, it's good for us to get one or two things clear. Like, as a man, you're meant to protect your wife physically, you're meant to protect your wife emotionally, you're meant to protect your wife spiritually. So, I would not really want to emphasize more on the spiritual aspect. Maybe it will come in some other videos. So I would like to stress more on the physical aspect and the emotional aspect. One may be pondering now, why do I need to protect my wife and from who? You need to protect your wife from many factors, many external factors, and I would like to streamline this video to protecting your wife or your fiancé now, as the case may be. It's possible you're a single man listening to this and you're not yet married, or it's possible you are even a single man. It's good that you get to understand some of these things before you get married. You're protecting your wife from your would-be in-laws or from in-laws for those who are married. Each time I get to hear things like a man not standing up for his wife or not standing up for his fiancée who he intends to get married, it pisses me off, and it shows that we don't really know our place as men if you don't stand up and protect your wife. Now, when a young man takes a lady to his parents or siblings and introduces her as a person he intends to get married to. You see, most often than not, there's just that human perception. They just begin to look at the person. And it's good to state clearly at this point that whatsoever you permit during courtship, it will definitely continue in marriage. And I'm saying this to mean, if you don't want people to look down on your wife, if you don't want people to look down on your spouse, then you must be very careful right from the days of courtship. Um, One wrong question I feel men ask when they take their fiancés to introduce to their parents, which I don't really like that question because it gives so much power and authority to your parents. Is the question of, okay, this is the lady I want to get married to. What do you think? Now you're asking them, what do you think? Okay, if they tell you what they actually think, would you give in? So it's good for us to truly know that as a man, the responsibility of who to get married to is on you. And the earlier it dawns on you that you are the one who is to decide who to get married to, not your parents. As a matter of fact, you don't necessarily need the conviction of your mother or sisters to marry a girl. The conviction that is most important is the conviction from God. So when you go to your parents and you begin to ask what they think, and they begin to pour out their hearts to you, most often than not, you find that some of our mothers are quite sentimental and very subjective. Now, if you take a lady and you introduce her to your parent, let's assume that she didn't bend or prostrate to greet the way she was supposed to greet. You will find out right from that time they begin to view her with a different perspective. Are you sure she's respectful? And the truth is that you don't even know her yet. So some of all these things are just to explain the fact that some of their judgment may not be right, and it's highly subjective and sentimental. And this is why, as a man, you must take out time to seek the face of God and be fully convinced as to who you want to get married to. The ultimate decision lies with you as a man, not your mother, not your sisters, not your brothers, not your parents. It lies with you as a man. But until you are so sure and certain, until you have heard God that has built your conviction, that boldness won't come to say, this is the person I want to get married to. Now, I would also like to state clearly that it doesn't matter your level of relationship with your mother, or you see, it's good to understand that the marital bond supersedes parental love or parental relationship. Now, I'm stating this for some men who are married, who are listening to me right now, that when you begin to weigh the decisions of your mother more than that of your spouse, then it means you don't know the value of who God has given you as a wife. In the hierarchy, after God comes your spouse, comes your wife. So for no reason should you begin to place your mother ahead of your spouse. It now gets so worse when you hear some person saying, I can't make a decision until my mother accepts this, or gives her consent, or until I discuss it with my brother, or I discuss it with my sisters. Now, except you don't want to ever get married. Else, if you want to remain married and if you want to get married, then you should know that once you get married, your spouse's decision comes above what your parents are saying. And it's a clear indication that you are not a real man if you cannot stand by your decision and own up and say, this is what myself and my wife have agreed to do, and stick to it. It pains me when I see men who, before they make any major decisions, they will have to go and discuss with their parents, go and discuss with their siblings. Now, what is the place of your wife there? I'm not trying to downplay the place of parental care. There's a place for sincere and genuine concern from parents, but an ability to know when it has gone beyond the boundary and know that, no, 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 at this level, my wife and I have decided that this is what we intend to do. Now, for no reason should your wife begin to compete for your love between your mother and herself. Now, when it gets to that level, it means that you are not a real man. When a woman is not sure between his mother and myself, who does he love most? Then you are not a real man. For no reason should your wife be left confused. Does he love me more than his mother or not? If we are to weigh the two, for no, you should love your wife more, and I will explain that shortly. So this is a clear indication that you are a real man when you can get to a point to say, yes, this is my mother, I love her, but this is my wife, whom God has said the two shall become one flesh. There's nowhere in the Bible where it is stated that you become one flesh with your siblings. There's no way in the Bible where it is stated that you become one flesh with your parents. The earlier you realize this, that there's no permanent relationship except in the marital relationship. Your love between your father and your mother, or your love for your siblings, will certainly step low when you get married. So the earlier you know some of all these things, the better for you as a man. And I've heard some guys say, I love my mom so much. There's nothing wrong with that. One ability to know that, yes, if you love your mom so much that you cannot love your wife more than your mother, then you may have to have a rethink, or you remain single. Because I've heard from several ladies who struggle to win the love of their husband above their mother. Your wife should not struggle for such. As a man, you should know that you are meant to love your wife more than even your mother. So let it be very clear and accept that. And if you are finding it hard to accept all this I'm saying, it's a clear indication that you should remain single. Now, it's good for us to understand this, that if you can't separate from your parents, please don't get married. Don't bring that lady to your house and begin to frustrate her before any major step is being taken. You must consult with your mother or your siblings. No, that's very wrong. Now you are a married man. You should be able to discuss things with your wife and stand to what both of you have agreed to do. Now, I would like to state clearly that when you get married, we have a saying that in Africa or in Nigeria, that you don't get married to one person or to that spouse, you get married to the family. But at this time, it's good for me to clarify some things here, that the coming together of is not the coming together of two families, but the creation of a third and separate family. I'll explain that. When a man gets married, it is not the two families, now the family of the man and the family of the woman, that comes together. No, it is the creation of a separate family as seen by God. So God expects you to own up and stand up as a man. Why? Because you are now being entrusted with what? The responsibility of a separate family. So you are now a head of a family. Now I'm stating this for obvious like cases. There are times where you get married and it is believed that your wife is now our slave, and they begin to send her, she begins to wash clothes, she begins to do all manner of menial jobs, all in the name that she got married to you. That should stop. Why? Because this is now a different family. I'm not saying that your wife should be rude, but for people to begin to trample on her, then it even shows that as a man, you lack understanding of what marriage is. Now, it's good for me to clarify some things here so that you will have a full understanding, because understanding fuels actions and also backs your mentality. Now, if the Bible says the two shall become one flesh, it means you and your spouse becomes one. Now listen, if you are 40 years old as a man and your wife is 20 years old, by virtue of marriage, your wife is 40 years old. So if you have siblings as a man, even if they are older than your wife, by virtue of marriage and the two becoming one flesh, she's now at your level. So your siblings, who probably may be older than her, should still respect her. So it is wrong that they claim to respect you as their brother, as their elder brother, but don't respect your wife. So the earlier we understand these things, the better for us. So why? Because have that understanding that the two shall become one flesh. And if you believe that statement, which I know that you believe that the two becomes one flesh, then for no reason should they turn your wife into a slave. So you must stand up and protect your wife as a real man. A real man protects his wife. A real man protects his wife. So for no reason should you expose her and let your brothers, your sisters, your mother, anybody speak to her. Now, I'll state something clearly, that if your wife is not sure who you will support, if you get to hear now that there's a quarrel between you, between your wife and your mother, then you are not a real man. If your wife is not sure who you will support as a man, if you get to hear today that there was a quarrel between your wife and your mother, then you are not a real man. Your wife should know that yes, my husband will stand by me. Now listen, even if she is wrong, you don't need to expose her right there. It is very wrong for you to begin to talk down to your wife in the presence of everybody. Your parents are there. No, it's very wrong. You can apologize to your mom, take her aside, and but make it clear that you sided your wife. Yes. Why? Because she is your wife. It is wrong that you hear that there was a quarrel and you come and you start quarreling your own wife. No. You should stand with your wife when the whole thing is up, you can go with her and now discuss things over and say, okay, yes, this is what you did wrong. This, but not in the presence of your mom or your siblings. Now it pains me when such things get to ensue and you see a man beginning to talk down at his wife in the presence of his siblings, in the presence of his sisters. Worse still, those sisters will now add their mouth and begin to talk down at his wife. It's a shame on you as a man, and the earlier you realize this, the better for you. So I've heard of some men today who have lost their marriages. Why? Because they allowed their mothers or sisters run their home. Some persons don't have homes today. Go and ask them why. It's because their mothers said they didn't like the girl that he got married to, and she frustrated her life until she left him. And today he is still single. So you must wise up as a man and stand and protect your spouse. You must stand up and protect your wife, and let it be clear that when it comes to anything, nobody talks to my wife. Make it known that it's only you that have that that permission to correct her, and it's even out of love. So please, I have spoken to us today so that we can stand up for our spouses. We can speak for them. Don't let her be confused or not to be sure as to who you will side if you get to hear that there's something. I would like you to stand up for your wife today. Protect her, make her know that you truly love her, and God will bless and reward you as you do this. I believe strongly that you have been blessed and you have been impacted with this. Let us know how this video has blessed you, and like our page, subscribe, and also share this video. Until we meet next time, God bless you in Jesus' name.